Magandang araw. Ako si Kui Code. Welcome back to my channel where I teach Python through fun and practical examples. Today we'll be continuing to look at our software design patterns. So this one is about the builder pattern. So the builder is a creational design pattern that lets you construct complex objects step by step. This pattern allows you to produce different types and representations of an object using the same construction code. But before we get into the builder code, this is just the example that I have here, which just shows a kind of like a character creation type class where you have a constructor with all of these different properties, and then when you make the character, you can just put in the values for them, and then go to the next one. So if we go ahead and print this out, we just simply have the name and then the race and then the class type for these three. The problem with this though is that some of these aren't needed for every single object depending on what you want. Like for example, a warrior doesn't need the mana pool, so we have to set this to none, and then the mage doesn't need a rage meter, so you have to set this to none as well. And that's kind of annoying. What you could do is set it to none to default, like here, like this, and then that way you wouldn't need it there. But then in this case, when you do have rage, or sorry, mage, you would need to do it something like that, which is also kind of annoying. So there is a better way to do that. Oh yeah, one other thing, when it comes to other classes, or sorry, other languages, what you would do instead, or what you could do instead, is you could have a default one. Like for example, this one is our default constructor, and then you could have multiple types of constructors. Depending on what parameters you're putting in. So for example, you could have something like this. So imagine this is our, default constructor, but then you have one constructor for warriors, one constructor for, the agility class, and then one constructor for this. But then that gets kind of messy because then you have like, 50 constructors, one for each different possibility of all the optional parameters. But also in Python, you can't actually have multiple constructors. So I just wanted to bring that up that in other languages, you would see that sometimes as an option, not specifically for what we're talking about here, but just in general, but you can't really do that in Python. So we're just going to ignore it for now. What we're going to do instead is, as I mentioned, going to the builder pattern. So let me go ahead and make some changes here. So we are going to have these set to a default. So the name is going to be none. I'll just copy this. Race is none. Character class is none. Strength is 0 because these are numbers. Weapon is none. And we'll do that one and that one. We'll also make another one for the archer class called energy level equals none. And I'll just add that down here. So that's for our constructor. And now we're going to make a separate class. I can probably get rid of all of these for now. This is the main class that is associated with this pattern called character builder. And the initialization is just going to be self. And we're actually going to make self.character equals a new character. So the character builder class is going to have a object, a reference to an object, or I guess an instantiation of an object for the type of class that we're trying to build. And then here's the magic of this, is that we're then going to make a method for each one of these properties. So, for example, def set name, self, name, and then inside of this method, whenever we call it, self.character.name equals name. And then here's the important part. We're going to return self, because when you return self, which is character builder, you can then chain these methods in a row. So we can do, dot set name, dot set stats, dot set race, and you can just have a giant chain of them, which is what makes this super useful. And you only really need to include the ones that you need to instantiate, and these other ones that are not, let's say, associated for like a warrior type, like agility and intelligence, you can kind of just ignore those. So just for the sake of saving time, I'm not going to write all these out. I'm going to copy them from my notes here. So here we have a bunch of different ones: name, race, stats, class, weapon, rage meter, mana pool, and energy level. And then the last one is just a build. So def build self. So once we have our object assigned to all these properties that we want, all we need to do is just return the actual object. So return self.character. So let me go ahead and actually do a thing, or sorry, I'll make an actual object so you can actually see how this works. And also I'm going to make this a bit better here as well. No, I'll just do that after. I was gonna change this to have a different output for the string, but I think it's fine to leave it at that for now. So let's say we're making a warrior type. So warrior 1 equals warrior builder. Oops, that's going to be not warrior builder. It's going to be character builder. And then it's going to make a character builder. And then because I said that you can have these chained, well, then we'll just chain it, because the character builder has a set name method. So character name, or character builder dot set name. Thorn. And then because this method returns a character builder, it returns self, we could then chain it and do another one. So dot set race. Race, if I could spell it. And then dot set weapon, sword, and then set stats. So it'll be, let's say, 10 strength, 5 agility, 2 intelligence, dot set class, warrior. I'm going to actually just do it like this. After dot warrior, set rage meter, just do 100. This is only relevant to warriors. So obviously if we're making a different type of class, we would just ignore this. And then now that we actually have all the properties we want, we can just do dot build. And then dot build will just return the character class with all of these properties, and then this will be a character object. But here's the thing, is that let's say I wanted to make another one like this, warrior 2. And this will be another made-up name, Brack. It's an orc warrior. It's still going to have a sword, still going to have this, still going to have this, and still going to have this. So it's kind of has some redundancy because you really need to change. You basically pick the name and you pick the race that you want to go with, but all of this other stuff is kind of, it's going to be the same. So we can actually create a subclass of our character builder. That way, like for example, warrior builder. That way, when we're making a warrior, we don't need to, all of these redundancies will be added in to the warrior builder one, and all we need to do is just pass in the stuff that's unique to this specific character. So let me go ahead and just do something quickly here. I will delete this for now, and I will just have some code for the other one. So now we have our warrior, our mage, and our archer. And then I'm just going to scroll up here to make the other ones that are, we're able to, you know, have specific ones for a warrior builder, a mage builder, an archer builder. Because again, those ones are going to hold all the redundancies that that specific class are all going to have. And then the character will have the specific stuff that's unique to each character, like the name and and the race. So let's scroll down here. This will be class warrior builder, and it'll be a subclass of character builder. Def init self, and we're going to pass. We're going to go up to the super, which is character builder, of course. Call the init of that as well, and then self dot character dot car class equals warrior. So because the character builder has a character property, and it's a subclass of character. This is also going to have the same character property. You can just do that, and I guess this should be a string. So that way, when we make a warrior builder object, the character class is obviously always going to be a warrior, which means we don't have to set it manually. It'll do it automatically. And then we'll have another one for set def default stats self. We'll just return self.set stats. This will be our 10, R5, and R2. And then we'll also have dot set weapon, which is always going to be a sword for the warrior. And then we'll also have a set rage meter, which will also always be for the warrior. And then we can just do the same thing for the mage builder and the archer builder ones. So again, for the sake of speed, I'm going to copy these because it's the same. So the mage builder is going to, of course, have the character class of mage. It's going to have a staff. It's going to have mana pool. It's going to have these stats, which is intelligence. For the archer builder, you're going to have higher agility at the beginning, and you get the point. It's kind of the same. And then what we can do is, instead of having this stuff, which this stuff should still work fine. Let me just make sure I have don't have any errors. That shouldn't be the case. That should be there. And set name. Let me just check. Where is this? This is line 91. Character builder does not have set name. I mean, it kind of does. Why is this? I think I forgot something. Let me scroll up and see. Oh, it's because it's all tabbed. It has to be. It was like a nested method or something. Okay, the error's gone, but I don't have the print statements anymore. So let me grab those to show that it would still be the same. 1, 1, and 1. And this works exactly the same, the original way that we did. But then again, if you're making, 10 different warriors, obviously this is kind of redundant. So what you would do instead is just, let me just make some space here. Is do something like this. Create a warrior builder instead. You'll have its own name, you'll have its own race, and then you'll just get the default stats. And again, in the warrior builder class, the default stats is going to set the stats to the weapon and the rage meter, which is going to be the same for every single warrior. So we can just kind of, call the method, and then we don't need to put that stuff in all the time. And then it's going to be the same thing for these other two, for the mage builder and the archer builder. And now if we go ahead and print this, actually, I'll just do that. So space, 2 and 2 and 2. And now, as you can see, it's literally the same. This still works with this, with the specific ones, and then this one also works with the generic ones, except this is a lot better than the other system that we had, where we need to put a bunch of blank properties in and whatnot. And again, this is only this design pattern is better when you have a object or a constructor that has a whole bunch of different properties, and some of them are optional and some of them are not. If you have more simple classes, then you wouldn't need to do this. You would just have it whatever regular way you would normally have it in. But for this case where we have a character builder, um, kind of funny because the class is called character builder, but then it's like character creation is a concept obviously in games as well. But yeah, this system is a lot better for what we're working with here. But that's it for this video. So please like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified right away. And also let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. See you next time on Creative Code. Paalam.